So in the previous class, we have started with an example of design of bunker to store the coals. Okay, the dimensions of the bunkers were given to us. Uh, the height of the side walls was 3 meter, and the uh, the surcharge angle was 30 degree, and the depth of the bottom hopper was 1 meter, and there was an opening of 450 by 450 at the bottom of the hopper, and the clearance was 2.75 meter from the ground level, and the depth of the foundation was 1 meter. Okay, the width of the side walls was 2.5 meter. It was 2.5 by 2.5 square bunker. So we first find the capacity of the bunker, the and let us say the volume V1 is the volume of the coal occupied in the as a surcharge. So that was 1 by 3, 2.5 by 2.5 by 0.72. 0.72 is the height of the surcharge that comes from the inclination. Then V2 is the volume occupied in the side walls. So that was 2.5 by 2.5 by 3 meter height. And the volume V3 is the volume occupied within the bottom hopper. So that was 1 by 3 A1 square by A2 square, where A1 is the area at the top and A2 is the area at the bottom. So area at the top will be 2.5 by 2.5, whereas area at the bottom will be 0.45 by 0.45. So it is 0.45 square plus square root of A1 A2. So that will be square root of 2.5 square by 0.45 square. So this will give you 2.53 meter cube volume. So the total volume of the material stored would be 22.78 meter cube. Now you have the volume, and the density of the material is given in the data, that is 9 kilonewton per meter cube. So you can find the total weight of the whole material, that is 9 into 22.78. So 205.02 kilonewton is the total weight of the material. Now next step was to design the side walls. So here we have assumed the surcharge angle as 30 degree, and assuming that surcharge angle equals the angle of repose. So we'll have the horizontal pressure intensity equals to WH cos square phi. Okay, this is the horizontal pressure this is from the pressure intensity is given by WH, let us W into H, where W is the unit weight of the material and H is the height of the retention, times cos alpha into cos alpha minus square root of cos square alpha minus cos square phi divided by cos alpha plus square root of cos square alpha minus cos square phi. Now here in this case, here phi is equals to alpha, or we can say alpha is equals to phi. Angle of surcharge is equals to angle of repose. So therefore P is equals to WH cos, this gets cancelled, so you get PH cos alpha, and the horizontal component is equals to P cos alpha, that is WH cos square alpha. So same is written here. Now alpha is equals to pi, so you can replace that, it's equals to cos square pi. So it is W into H into cos square pi, so it will be 20.25 kilonewton per meter square. That is the horizontal pressure intensity. Then the effective span. Now consider the side walls fixed between the columns. There are columns, these are the columns. So let us assume that there is it is fixed between the columns. So the center to center span would be 2.5, that is the clear span, plus half the width of the column, that is 0.3 by 2, plus half the width of the column on the other side, 0.3 by 2. So this will give you 2.8 meter. Now you can find the bending moment for this fixed beam, that is WL square by 12. So it is 20.25 into 2.8 square by 12. So it will be 13.23 kilonewton meter per meter width of the slab. Okay, so now now let us find the maximum tension in the walls. Maximum tension in side walls because the pressure on the opposite edges, this will cause tension on the its adjacent edges. So this pressure will cause tension in these two walls, and these two pressure will cause tension in these two walls. So the maximum tension in the walls will be equal to, let us say it is T. So T is equals to the horizontal pressure, that is PH into P by 2. Okay. And the horizontal pressure is 20.25 and width is 2.5 by 2. Okay, so this much half the width of this UDL will cause tension in these walls, and half of the width will cause tension on this wall. So for each wall the tension will be horizontal pressure times half the width. So this will be 20.25 into 2.5 by 2, that is 25.31 kilonewton. 25.31 kilonewton. This is the tension in the wall. Now because of this tension, let us draw the wall section. So this is let us say this is the wall section, and let the effective depth of the wall section let us say D be equal to be equal to 150, where 150 is the overall thickness minus 30 is the effective cover. Okay, this will be equal to 120 mm. Here D is the overall thickness of the side wall, which is, let us say, 150 mm. Okay, here we are assuming this value 150 mm thick, and if this thickness is sufficient to carry the applied bending moment and tension, then this is okay. Otherwise we have to revise this, and the effective cover to reinforcement, let us say C dash is equals to 30 mm. So your effective depth would be 120 mm. Now if the thickness of the side wall is small t, or here let us say we have taken this as D, so let us say this is small t. Small t is the overall thickness of the side wall, so let us say this is T, this is equals to 150 mm. Now the tension force will be acting at the center of the wall. So this is T, this is T, where T is the tensile force, which is equals to 25.31 kilonewton. T is equals to 25.31 kilonewton, and the bending moment so the net bending moment will be equal to net bending moment will be equal to let us say M is equals to, and this moment, that is 13.23, which will be at the CG of the reinforcement, 13.23 into 10 to the power 3. So this will be in kilonewton mm, or simply you can write this as 13.23 minus, now this, see, we want to find the moment of this axial tension about the CG of the reinforcement. So this is our reinforcement. This depth is your effective depth D, okay, which is equal to 120 mm, and this force is acting at a distance of 150 by 2, that is 75 mm. So the 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 moment due to this axial tension will be equal to 13.23 minus T into D minus half the thickness T by 2. Okay, so this is D by 2, so you will get this lever arm distance. D minus T by 2 is this lever arm distance for this axial tension, so you can find the moment at that at the CG of the reinforcement. That will be your net bending moment. So 13.23 into 10 to the power 3 minus this 25.31 into D is 120 mm minus T, that is 150 by 2. So, and you have to divide this in meters, so divide by 1000, because all these dimensions are in, this is in kilonewton meter, so you have to convert this into meter as well. So this will be 13.23. Wait a minute, we have already multiplied 10 to the power 3, so no need to multiply this 1000 into 10 to the power 3 minus 25.31 into 120 minus 150 by 2. So that will give you 12.091 into 10 to the power 3 kilonewton mm. So that will be, so net bending moment will be, net bending moment, we call this as M, will be equal to 12.091 kilonewton meter. Okay, so the walls will be designed for this much bending moment and this much tension. So let us find the factored tension and factored bending moment. So factored tension Tu is equals to 1.5 times T, that is 1.5 into 25.31, so that will be 37.969 kilonewton, and factored net bending moment, we call this as Mu, 1.5 into M, that will be 1.5 into 12.091, so that will be 18.136 kilonewton meter. Now these are the design forces. For which the side walls is to be designed. Design forces for side walls. So now let us design the side wall. First we have to check the depth required for resisting the flexure of 18.136 kilonewton meter. So let us find the depth required. Depth required to resist bending moment now. Remember, D required is equal to square root of mu by r into b, where R is a factor which accounts for the depth. So in this case it is 0.138 FCK, or simply this is from the formula mu limit is equals to 0.138 FCK B D square. This is for Fe 415 grade of steel. So you can write this as D is equals to square root of mu limit divided by 0.138 FCK B. Okay, but for different grade this formula will be different. So we are replacing this term 0.138 times FCK as a R, which accounts for the depth. So it is a, so in this case it is 0.138 FCK for Fe 415. So it will be 0.138 into, here the grade of the concrete given as M20 grade of concrete, so into 20. So you will get the value of R as 2.76 Newton per mm square. So let us substitute that here. M is 18.136 into 10 to the power 6 divided by R, that is 2.76 into width. For 1 meter width we are finding the depth required, because this bending moment is for per meter width. This is per meter width of the wall. So this comes out to be as 81 mm, whereas we have provided 120 mm. D provided is equals to 120 mm. Okay, we have provided the depth as 120 mm. Okay, so the wall thickness is sufficient to carry the bending moment. Now let us find the reinforcements required to resist the direct tension as well as to resist the bending moment. So reinforcements required to resist bending moment. We know that AST is equals to 0.5 FCK by Fy times 1 minus square root of 1 minus 4.6 mu upon FCK Vd square whole multiplied by B into D. Now here you have the value of FCK. FCK is 20 Newton per mm square. Fy is 415 Newton per mm square. B is 1 meter because we are finding the reinforcement per meter width, and D is 120 mm. So let us substitute this value. You will get the area of the reinforcement required to resist the bending. 20 divided by 415, 1 minus square root of 1 minus 4.6 into bending moment. Bending moment is 18.136. 18.136 into 10 to the power 6 convert into Newton mm. FCK is 20, D is 1000 and D is 120 mm square. This is to be multiplied with 1000 into 120. Okay, so you will get, let us call this as AST1. So AST1 will be equal to, someone can calculate this value. AST1 0.5 into 20 by 415 whole multiplied by 1 minus square root of 1 minus 4.6 by 18.136 into 10 to the power 6 divided by 20 into 1000 into 120 square. This whole multiplied by 1000 into 120. Then we can find the reinforcement required to resist direct tension. Reinforcement required to resist direct tension. How much is this value? Then AST2, which is the reinforcement required to resist the direct tension, it will be TU divided by 0.87 Fy, because the concrete will not take any tension. We'll assume that all the tension will be taken by the steel. So TU, which is the design tensile force, and 0.87 Fy is the design tensile stress. So it will be TU is 37.969 into 10 to the power 3 to convert it into Newton divided by 0.87. Fy is 415. So how much is this value? You will get AST2. So the total steel AST will be equal to AST1 plus AST2 AST1 is 454.54 mm square. Someone can just verify this value. 105.16 mm square. This is AST2. So sum of these two will be 454.54 plus 105.16. This will give you 559.70 mm square. Okay. So now let us provide mm diameter bar at an spacing of 140 mm center to center. So this will give you AST provided equal to, you can verify that for 1 meter width the AST provided would be area of the single bar, that is 78.5 for 10 mm bar, into 1000 is the 1 meter width divided by 140. This will give you the AST provided, that is 78.5 into 1000 divided by 140, that is 560.71, that is, let us say, 561 mm square. So this much steel is provided against the required 559. So this is greater than AST required equals to 559.70 mm square. So it is okay. Next is the distribution bar. So distribution steel, let us provide distribution. Distribution steel at as a minimum steel, as minimum steel. Let us provide minimum steel. So the minimum steel for IP 415 grade is 0.12% of the total cross section. So into B into D. Same for the slab, it would be used. So for slab, it is 0.12% of the total cross sectional area. For HYSD bar, so 0.12 into 1000, that is 1 meter width, into overall cross section, that is 150 divided by 100. So this will give you 180 mm square. So let us provide 8 mm bar at an spacing of 200 mm center to center. So that will give you AS provided equal to, for 8 mm bar, area of steel is 50.3 into 1000 divided by 200. This will give you 251 mm square. Again, this is more than required 180 mm square. So it is okay. Okay, so with this you have designed the cross section of the side wall. You have the reinforcements. Now, next step is to design the bottom hopper. Design of bottom hopper. Now, the total weight of the coal, the total weight of coal is equal to 205.02 kilonewton. 205.02 kilonewton. Now let us assume the thickness of sloping wall, the thickness of sloping wall as 150 mm and lining of 30 mm or 25 mm. So this will give you total thickness as 175 mm is the total thickness of the sloping wall. Total thickness of sloping slab. This sloping slab. So let us find the self weight of this sloping slab. So self weight of sloping slab is equal to this is 1 meter. Okay, and the total width is 2.5 meter and this opening is 0.45. So you can find this much length. So this will be 2.5 by 2 minus 0.45 by 2 0.45 by 2. So that will give you 1.025 meter. So this length, the length of the sloping slab will be square root of 1 square plus 1.025 square. Okay, so length of this sloping wall will be 1.0 square plus 1.025 square. This is the length of one wall. Such 4 walls will be there because it is pyramidal in shape. So one wall on this is the second wall and 2 on the opposite side. So multiply by 4. Okay, and this is to be multiplied with the total thickness. The thickness of this wall is 175 mm thickness. Let us draw the thickness as well. This wall thickness is 175 mm. So multiply by 0.175. Okay. Multiply by density of the concrete. Multiply by 25. So this will give you the self weight of the slab, sloping slab will be 1 square plus 1.025 square multiply by 4 multiply by 0.175 multiply by 25. It is 25. is 25.06. So this will give you 25.06 kilonewton. So now you can find the load on each wall. Therefore, load on each sloping wall will be equal to the total load. The total load will be total load divided by 4 because there are 4 side walls. So total load is 205.02 plus this plus this slope sulfate of the sloping slab, that is 25.06 volt divided by 4 plus 205.02 divided by 4. So that will give you 51.51 kilonewton. That is the load on each sloping wall. Now let us say the inclination of this, you can find theta. So theta will be tan inverse opposite upon adjacent, that is 1 divided by 1.025. So that will give you theta as 44.29, which is the inclination of the sloping slab. So let us say T be the component of the tensile force in the wall, sloping wall. So this let us say Ts. So Ts, this is also theta. So Ts sin theta let us say the component of sloping wall resisting the vertical load will be equal to Ts, that is the component, into sin theta, tensile force into sin theta, that will be the component which will resist the vertical load, and this will be equated to 51.51 kilonewton. So you will get Ts is equals to 51.51 into 10 to the power, or simply 51.51 divided by sin theta is 44.29. So you will get 51.51 divided by sin 44.29, that is 73.76. kilonewton is the tension in the sloping wall. Okay. So to resist this tension, tension in the sloping slab, that is Ts, is equals to 73.76 kilonewton. So let us design the reinforcement. So the reinforcement to resist tension will be equal to Ts divided by 0.87 Fy, that is 73.76 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 0.87 into 415. So this will give you 204.3 mm square steel. So this much steel is to be provided to resist the tension in the sloping slab. Now the sloping slab should also be designed as a slab spanning between the corners. So the hopper bottom acting as a slab spanning between corners. So it should be designed to resist the bending. So the hopper bottom should be designed to resist bending moment due to number one, the normal component of Pn of the pressure due to pull, and second, the normal component of the sloping slab itself. Okay, that means you have to design this slab subjected to bending also. So that will be this is the sloping slab, and these are the corner columns or beams. So this should be designed for as a sloping slab of length 1 point of length square root of 1 square plus 1.025 square. Okay, and this will be subjected to the normal component of the pressure. If P is the pressure, then Pn is the normal component of the pressure due to pull. Where this is the pressure due to pull. Same way, the normal component of the slab itself. So if this is the sulfate of the slab, then this should be designed for the normal component of this slab. We call this as, if this is Ws, that is the sulfate of the slab, then this will be Ws cos theta, where theta is the inclination of the slab. So this is to be designed for Pn, that is the normal component of the uh, uh, pressure due to pole, and second it should be designed for Ws cos theta. So, so we stop here. In the next class, we'll find this normal component of the pressure due to pole as well as the normal component of the sloping slab. The total moment due to these two normal components will be the moment for which this sloping slab should be designed. So in the next class, we'll find that moment and design this sloping slab. Any doubt in this? Any doubt? So if you don't have any doubt, we can stop here, and in the next class we'll continue this design of Hopper bottom